One of the great things about sports is that it's supposed to be a pure meritocracy. All that is supposed to matter is what happens on the field of play and the outcome at the end. This should lead to decision making that is perfectly rational. That is, when you're building a team, all that should matter is what a player can do for you on the field. However, the reality often falls short of this ideal. While on-field performance should be the sole determinant of a player's value, other factors readily come into play when building a team or evaluating talent. These factors may include a player's draft position, their reputation, their marketability, or even previous evaluations. This can clearly be seen in two of the surprising rising stars in their respective sports. Brock Purdy of the San Francisco 49ers and Austin Reaves of the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, let's go over a little bit of background. Brock Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant in the 2022 NFL Draft. That is, he was the absolutely last player selected in the entire draft. While this may seem low, this is even better than Austin Reaves, who went undrafted in the 2021 NBA Draft. In theory, after the draft is over, draft position should have no weight on player evaluations going forward. Managers, coaches, and pundits should only be interested in the player's production, since a player's draft order is a somewhat arbitrary statistic. However, we've seen time and time again that it absolutely affects the way players are viewed. This is a form of diagnostic bias, where people form and hold on to opinions based on initial, often superficial initial evaluations. So a low draft pick player has to overcome this bias to be recognized for the great play they are having on the field. Brock Purdy is, as of this video, undefeated as a quarterback in every game he has started and finished, which includes 2 playoff games. His personal statistics have been excellent, and any quarterback would be happy to have such a 10-game stretch. Of course he's going to lose at some point, but it's a pretty impressive on-field accomplishment for a QB this early in their career, regardless of who he is playing with. Despite this is what the experts are saying.
Can you drop anybody in and that offense work? And when Mr. Irrelevant comes in and goes undefeated, they'd be like, well, God dog it, I guess you can. Instead, everyone is like, you know what? This kid's amazing. I don't believe it. I thought he played well yesterday. But I will ask Brew this as he looks at me aghast.
I am aghast.
If you dropped in Derek Carr, are they worse? If you dropped in Kirk Cousins, are they worse? Or are they? If you dropped in Matt Stafford, are they better? If you dropped in Mac Jones, are they the same?
Well, Mac Jones.
No, honestly.
No,
are there 10 quarterbacks in the league that you could drop in and make them worse?
In addition to suffering from a diagnostic bias, such takes also suffer from an all-or-nothing fallacy. That is, if Brock isn't one of the absolute best, then what he is doing isn't all that impressive. However, if Brock Purdy had been a first-round draft pick and done what he has done, it is almost certain that the narrative around him would be different. The same thing is happening to Austin Reaves. It could be reasonably argued that during the second half of the NBA season, when Austin Reaves actually began starting games, he was a top NBA player. He went on to prove it during the playoffs, where he helped the Lakers make the Western Conference Finals, and in a few games, notably his first against Memphis, he was instrumental. When he was selected to represent the United States in the FIBA World Championships, many people were declaring he did not deserve his spot despite the praise he was getting from the FIBA coaches. Austin Reaves' play on the court during the FIBA tournament would indicate he clearly belonged. Despite this, there's still many people who are claiming that Reaves is overrated because he happens to play for the Los Angeles Lakers, and also, likely, because it's difficult to believe that an undrafted player can be this good this quickly. While each of these players are starting to get recognition, their overall perception is probably still weighed down by the anchor that is their draft position. Of course, the opposite of this happens too. There are lots of instances of players who are drafted high but were able to stay in the league a lot longer than their on-court play would suggest. This is often the case in the NBA, where high draft picks get a long leash. Maybe it's because a GM's job is on the line for picking the wrong guy. Or maybe the team just thinks he'll be the one to turn the guy around. Whatever the case may be, it is often that these high draft picks will get second, third, or even fourth chances that would never be given to someone drafted much lower than them. And don't believe this only happens in sports. It happens in the real world way more often than people realize. That's why someone may get more job interviews simply because they went to an Ivy League university. Even the job interview itself might go better simply because someone is able to answer a few completely irrelevant questions better than another person. As soon as that person is labeled good, they are likely to do well the rest of the way. If you ever find yourself saying things like, this player is really good for an undrafted player, just ask yourself, how good would you think this person is if you didn't know that bit of information? What on-field data should you be considering instead? I'm curious, what are some other good examples of players who are either underrated thanks to their low draft status or overrated because of some of their high draft status? Leave your thoughts in the comments below.